Thank you, Chairman. Congressman Ratcliffe, it's good to have you here. This job has gone vacant for too long. It's a critically important job. I'm glad you've been nominated. I've read with great interest the letter in the record that was given to us from former Attorney General Ashcroft. He's been a good friend of mine for a long time. I trust his judgment. I know you worked with him as a U.S. attorney and also in a law firm that was formed after you both left the Justice Department, and his view of you, which he shared with me personally as well as in this letter, is significant. We've had a chance to visit about your work on the House Intelligence Committee, and I particularly appreciated your last comment about the importance of being fully open and an oversight committee like this one being fully informed. I would say that when we stood up this structure after 9/11, I certainly anticipated a much smaller coordinating opportunity rather than the bureaucratic size that we see today. I hope when you have a chance to look at this that you'll look carefully at whether or not the structure as it's grown has really served the principal purpose of coordinating information, or if in some way it may have created yet one more stovepipe of information. I'd like you to comment on your views, maybe as a House Intel member, of just the size of DNI itself, and if that size is one you think is too big, too small, or just right.
Senator, thank you for the remarks and the association with former Attorney General John Ashcroft, who's a great American. But I, like you, come into this position, if confirmed, with some preconceived impressions based on discussions I've had on the Oversight Committee. And as Senator Collins leaves the room, I want to make sure, one of the goals of the DNI, if confirmed, is to make sure that the ODNI and the DNI position are working exactly like Senator Collins and those who stood it up intended it. And so I had a chance to visit with her about it. Like you, I come in with the perspective that you have conversations that maybe indicate that there is too much bureaucracy and there's too much redundancy. Some redundancy is good, but if there's 17 agencies, they don't need to be doing the same thing 17 times or purchasing the same things. And so it'll be one of my immediate priorities to assess how the ODNI is functioning. Again, the goal of the ODNI is to make the IC better so that the IC can make you better and the president better and policymakers better. And so I do think that I want it to be as efficient as possible, but I'll be thoughtful and talk with the heads of the intelligence agencies and elements to find out where they think that some of these things may just be unnecessary redundancies and address those.
You know, I think another question to ask, and you don't have to comment on this, but for you to ask is this agency has grown, have we let the other agencies not have the attention or the staff they needed as the whole universe of intelligence, U.S. intelligence has grown? So much of it has grown at this point that was to be the central clearinghouse, the agency that coordinated information to be sure nobody was left out, and I would look at that. During the 19 years the last 19 years, we've very much been focused on violent terrorist extremists as the focus of so much of our intelligence efforts. Certainly that threat has not gone away, but it's also equally as certain that great power competition has emerged in ways that we wouldn't have anticipated even a handful of years ago. Talk a little bit about rebalancing the resources you have to continue to keep an eye on the threats that we have so focused on for almost 2 decades now, but also to rebalance into the great power competition that we see as a significant challenge for us today?
Senator, great question, and I appreciate you asking, because I've had that conversation with a lot of people about what I view as the greatest threat and the greatest threat actor, and I view China as the greatest threat actor right now. I mean, look at where we are with respect to COVID-19 and the role that China plays, the race to 5G, cybersecurity issues, all roads lead to China there. And so one of the priorities, highest priorities that I'll have if confirmed as DNI, is to make sure, and again, my background with regard to, violent extremists, that is a generational challenge that we will continue to deal with. We may forget about them, but they don't forget about us. But I agree with you in terms of making sure, as we look at the national intelligence framework and whether we're committing enough resources to the rising power that is China. When you look at the initiatives that they have, the Belt and Road, the Made in China 2025, the all of the military civil fusion initiative, where they literally want by law Chinese companies to collect intelligence. These are all spokes of the same initiative, and that's for China to supplant us as the world's superpower and to be able to set standards around the world. And we very clearly don't want an authoritarian regime like the Chinese Communist Party setting standards in the world marketplace. And so I look forward to sitting down with you, if confirmed, about how ODNI and the other 16 elements are dedicated to the rising threat that is China, which I view as our greatest threat actor.
Well, certainly Russia is another great threat. Do you want to talk about that for just a second as I conclude my questions?
You bet. Different just because, Russia, we are concerned with Russia in terms of anytime you have a large nuclear stockpile, and they are certainly dedicated to sowing seeds of discord. We are most concerned with them with regard to election interference and making sure we have safe, secure, credible elections, because that's what they have been focused on, and they've been, as I said earlier, they've been successful in sowing seeds of discord, but not, fortunately, in changing votes or the outcome. But between the two, to be real clear, I view China as the rising power, whereas Russia, has an economy about the same size as the economy of my home state of Texas. So we need to be very concerned with them. Vladimir Putin is a very bad actor, and so as DNI, if confirmed, I will make sure that we balance appropriate where our resources are going with regard to both of those threats.
Well, thank you, Mr. Ratcliffe. Congressman, I look forward to supporting your nomination both here in the committee and on the floor, and you're working with us as you get this job.
Thank you.